Shall we continue on? Making the First Circle Work by Randy Gage. Chapter 6, Watering the Taproot, Building from the Bottom. So in the last chapter, we talked about how you make it rain. Now, let's talk about how we direct the rain to produce the most fruit. Back in the day when we all worked stair-step breakaway compensation plans, we called this the Taproot strategy. And while comp plans have evolved and the implementation in other plans may be slightly different, the basic principle behind this is as powerful today as it has ever been. The analogy behind this is the taproot that every tree has. This is the main root that reaches deep in the earth to bring in water and nutrients to grow the tree. And the deeper the taproot grows, the taller and stronger the tree will grow above ground. The same principle applies for duplication. Most people work their organization from the top down, focusing on their personal enrollees. And with the taproot principle, you work from the bottom up, creating volume and excitement at the lower levels, which has a chain reaction on those above. Also, little secret for you, in the doTERRA compensation plan, this actually pays you more. We can go into why on a different call. There are a couple ways to do this. First is through any presentations and home meetings you do locally. Let's say you do a home meeting at Jack and Sue's house, who are personals to you, and their guests, Abe and Becky, join the business. You move the next meeting to Abe and Becky's home, inviting Jack and Sue to attend. You let them know that you're going to be helping work down in their group, helping train them in the process until they're ready to take over. Suppose at that meeting, Chris and Carmen join up. You scheduled the next meeting at their place, inviting both Jack and Sue and Abe and Becky, and you continue this process level by level, building momentum until someone, hopefully Jack and Sue, but not necessarily, takes it away from you. You can do a similar process with long-distance lines. You check your back office and look for people who show a spark no matter what level they are on. Someone qualifies as sparking by sponsoring a lot of people or showing volume growth. When you see a spark, feed the fire by pouring gasoline on it. You do this by getting in touch and letting those people know you are willing to travel to their town and do some presentations and training for them. Of course, this excites them, but it also moves that excitement all through the sponsorship line above them. Make sure you are in touch with the leaders above and keep them abreast of what is going on beneath them. So the lower down you work, the better results you create. Many people in the business work only with the people in their payout range. I think this is a big mistake. When I go into my back office and look for people with potential, it doesn't matter to me how far down the group they are or whether I am even getting paid on them. Working with people beneath your payout range will eventually produce higher bonus checks from your payout, and it creates long-term security in the organization. Also, this is another reason why doTERRA created the compensation plan that they do, because it actually encourages this right here. Now, let's look at another thing you control: your group's participation in the local events. Chapter 7, Taking on TicketMaster, Growing Your Market with Events. The fastest and strongest way to grow your business is to first build in your local market where you live. That gives you experience, confidence, and income that will allow you to build long-distance lines. Then, the long-distance line should supplement the beachhead you created in your local market. And the way you grow your local market is with local events. Now, this isn't fashionable to say today. There are scads of self-proclaimed gurus preaching that live events are dead and you can best build over the internet from home in your bunny slippers. They are telling people what they want to hear, and this makes mining the miners easier. But they're doing a great disservice to the people who follow them. As I'm writing this, I am Platinum Elite level on 3 airlines and just qualified as Gold on a 4th one. I need another plane ride like I need a hole in my head. But I travel to do live events because they work. I participate in the events in my local markets and support the local events of my long-distance team members. Today, there is a big disparity between the haves and have-nots in network marketing. And I believe how people approach events is the biggest difference between the two groups. The people with duplication understand the importance of events. and the other people are looking for shortcuts, trying to do the business without them. Take this scenario. Someone starts a Facebook group around a topic like a home-based business, network marketing, or the area of his product line. And once people join the group, he starts sending out pitches at regular intervals to prospect these strangers. He will tell you that meetings are old-fashioned, no one likes to go to them, and he is building a virtual business online. He is living in delusion. Same thing with all these attraction marketers and other promoting pay-per-click advertising programs to prospect strangers looking for distributors. Some of them actually tell their followers not to talk to their warm market or conduct live meetings. They bandy around terms like old school and new school with the goal of trying to suggest that basic common sense strategies like talking to people you know are somehow out of touch with today's environment. Most of these gurus don't actually build a network. They make their own money mining the miners by selling systems, tools, or leads to them. Some are proficient at pay-per-click advertising and do build something, but you'll find that most of the people they bring into the business fall into two categories. Category 1 is comprised of those people with a lottery mentality, looking for shortcuts to do the business. They think these new school methods somehow eliminate the work required for success. Invariably, they fail and drop out. The second category includes people who sincerely do want to build and are willing to work. Unfortunately, pay-per-click advertising requires a certain amount of time and skill, and people who don't know how to do it well can lose money quickly. And to do it well requires knowledge and skill not easily duplicated by the average person. So while pay-per-click advertising may work in a limited way, it doesn't duplicate well. Remember, the most important axiom in network marketing: it's not whether something works, but whether it duplicates. Meetings work and meetings duplicate, and they do some things that can't be duplicated any other way. Let's go back to MLM 101. The difference between money games and legitimate network marketing. We don't get paid headhunter, recruiting, or training fees. We get paid on volume. And volume comes when the product gets to and the volume comes when the product gets to the end consumers. So, how do we do that? By inviting candidates to presentations, getting them to presentations, and following up after presentations. We get paid only when people join the business and buy products, or don't join the business but still buy products. So the only real rainmaker activities are those that produce those results. Everything else is busy work. Now, just to be clear, I'm not saying there isn't a place for webcasts, Skype conferences, or Zoom, teleconferences, CDs, DVDs, and a lot of other great technology available to us today. Those things can be very helpful to building your business. But if you try to substitute them for live events, your duplication and results will suffer. We must bring candidates through a recruiting process, and a vital part of that is a well-executed local event. This could be weekly, twice monthly, or monthly. I know it sounds easier to stay home in your Batman pajamas and build online, but that is trying to hack the game. And the only free cheese in this mousetrap, the only free cheese is in the mousetrap. Nothing can replace the social proof and other dynamics that occur in a live event. You need to be bringing candidates through some kind of first look, usually through a home presentation, a one-on-one meeting, webcast, or a marketing tool, and then using the bigger local events to get them off the fence. The local events determine who becomes a customer, business builder, or neither. So every market needs to set up a regular event as quickly as possible. Then, once the event structure is set, you must get into the ticket selling business. You can become your own local little version of TicketMaster. In January, you sell tickets for the February event. In February, you sell for March, March for April, and on forever. Price the tickets with quantity discounts. Buy a block each month and encourage your team to do the same. For example, you might price your tickets at $20 at the door, $10 in advance, $5 for $35, and $10 for $50. By creating these discounts, you'll find most people will buy in blocks. And because they buy in blocks, they'll end up with more guests for the next meeting. And then more recruits. Here's why. The normal reaction for human nature is people will buy one ticket for themselves. Then they figure if they get a guest lined up, they'll buy one for them. So maybe they'll have a guest next month, maybe not. Now let's suppose you buy a block of 10. All month long, you're working to fill those 9 extra tickets, and realistically, you probably won't. You probably have breakage, but celebrate the breakage. Because by shooting for 9 guests, you're very likely to end up with 5, 6, or 7. With numbers like those, you will probably sponsor at least 2 or 3. You make sure that each buy a block of 10, and the process starts over again. The difference now is that you have a bigger base buying tickets, making invitations, and enrolling. So each month, the meeting grows. Even when you sponsor people long distance, you teach them how to implement this same process in their town. This is how you grow a large organization, by building a strong network of local events. Then the listing of all the local events can be posted on the company or team website, and everyone everywhere can see the event calendar. When your team members see events happening in cities around the country or around the world, they start to think about who they know there and could send to that local event. Cities set up reciprocal relationships to look after each other's prospects, and then things can really get into high gear. One important note. I think a market gets permanent traction when the events break the 250-person barrier. There is enough social proof and excitement generated to keep it moving forward. But I believe this takes place gradually over periods of months. By the way, when I started, we did have that large of meetings, so it can happen. And the numbers get big too fast. If the numbers get big too fast, there isn't enough local leadership to support the growth, and it usually moves backwards. You may have seen this if you ever sponsored some dynamic super sales type into the business. She might have a huge sphere of influence and can sometimes put several hundred people in a room in her first month or 2. But most times, such as overwhelming response is about that person's cult of personality, and the meeting doesn't sustain itself. However, if you put on an event that starts out with 15 or 18 people and gradually increases to 250 plus over a period of 5 or 6 months, you usually have a secure line. Once you have the local events in place, you use them to feed into the major events, which is the next element of the first circle you can control, and what we'll look at next.